Who doesn't remember the iconic, beloved television series Lassie? Absolutely. Hey, everybody, this is the Jim Masters Show. Look at your screen. Look at all of the years of entertainment on your screen there. And of course, our very special guest is one of those folks. We don't have Lassie with us tonight. Lassie, I think, is on another shoot. But we do have Jon Provost, who starred as the original Timmy Martin on the beloved series. Hey, everybody, Jim Masters here. Thanks for joining us on the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series. Boy, are we going to have a good time with our guest, with all of you. Thanks for joining us, spreading the word about our series, all the great celebrity friends and special guests who join us from all around the world. We do the show live, and then we archive all of our episodes on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, so you can see that and share it 24/7, 365. And as I mentioned, we're going to dive right in because we have so much to talk about. We welcome everybody watching live and watching this later in the archives from all around the world. Yes, we're talking about Jon Provost. Not only did he star in Lassie, of course, the iconic series, but he was in a lot of movies. Matter of fact, he was well established even before Lassie with so many iconic performances in terrific films. And I'm talking about working with people like Grace Kelly and Bob Hope and William Holden, and working with people like Charles Bronson. I mean, meeting, of course, and working with Bob Hope and Jack Benny and so many others over the years. So he was already at like age 2 and 3, pretty established before that opportunity came to star in the iconic series, that real feel-good series, Lassie. And again, so many years of enjoyment. Matter of fact, the series, of course, is still on the air, still runs all around the world. You can see it on the nostalgic channels and so much more. And it's one of our personal favorites as well. And again, you can see on the screen some cool shots we put together. We have a lot of wonderful things to share with you, as we always do here on the Jim Masters Show Live series. As I mentioned before, our guest, Jon Provost, is coming to us from California. Before he starred in the iconic series Lassie with June Lockhart and company, he was already a movie star. He had an opportunity to star in a lot of incredible films, starting off, of course, in this one, So Big. That was his very first job. Could you imagine that? Look at him. He's going, action. That was really something very important, because this sort of really got things rolling for him, and he got noticed. So Big was the 1953 feature film, and the title role, Jane Wyman and Sterling Hayden. Could you imagine that at such a very, very young age? Again, just going through some of these really cool shots we have here. Here's another shot of John and Jane Wyman. Jane Wyman, could you imagine that? Really incredible. Also, in addition to that, he also had a role in this. This is, of course, you see on the screen there, The Country Girl. And look at the names that he starred with: Bing Crosby and William Holden and Grace Kelly. Unbelievable. Yeah, this was all before Lassie. And look at this shot here from that incredible movie. And there he is. He's in the arms of Bing Crosby at a very early age. And of course, he had opportunity to work with Bob Hope, having some fun with Bob Hope. He's like, what do you got there? Some cake? Really incredible. Also, Anita Engberg, Back from Eternity, which is another epic. He was in that as well. Yeah, and here's a sort of a movie screen shot there for you. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? Really amazing. And look at this. Escapade in Japan as well. He was in that. And that was back in 1957. So many. There he is with Jack Benny. Matter of fact, he also got a chance to be on the NBC show, Tennessee Ernie Ford's fabulous show with, of course, June Lockhart as well. And so many other shows and specials and movies, and just incredible. And guess what? Of course, in addition to what you're seeing there, that's Tennessee Ernie Ford on the screen there for you. It is Lassie that he's best known for, and all the years on that series. And that's one of those heartwarming series that, when you watch it, you feel good. And that's one of the reasons why that series continues today. In addition to Lassie, he also was in All Mine to Give. He was in Sergeant Sullivan Speaking, Kiss for a Lieutenant, on the Jack Benny show as well, which we mentioned, the Tennessee Ernie Ford Christmas show. He was on the 1960 Emmy Awards, Lassie's Great Adventure. He was also, another iconic and wonderful series was Mr. Ed, and of course, the Talking Horse. He was also on an episode of Mr. Ed as well, which was terrific. This is just the short list, folks, of some of the cool things that a very special guest has had an opportunity to be a part of in his illustrious career. Remember I just said he worked with Charles Bronson? He sure did. And that was something very special. And Charles, I think, he could be intimidating, but wow, this was Property is Condemned. This was back in 1965. So many incredible things to show you here. Just sprinkling it in to let you know he's done so much and continues to. And you know what's great? Jon also embraces the love that the fans have for him playing that role of Timmy Martin on Lassie. He's all about it. He's gone to the conventions and the Comic Cons and all the celebrations. There's things that you can get to through his website that tie into the series and to his career. We're going to talk about all of that. And of course, working with the cast of Lassie. So, wow, really very honored to have him here. He was also with us recently when we were spotlighting a very cool episode you should check out, the Desi L Kids. And that was with Stanley Livingston, who's an incredible friend of our show. He was with us. Stanley's been with us several times. And Tina Cole was with us as well from My Three Sons. Larry Matthews, another wonderful friend of our shows, and with us multiple times. And he was on that episode as well. Check the episode in our archives, the Desi L Kids. You're going to love that episode. And of course, Keith Thibodeau, who was Little Ricky on I Love Lucy, was with us as well. And, a dear friend of our very special guest, Jon Provost, is also Jerry Mathers. And they've stayed in touch over the years as well. We'll talk about that. So we are welcoming him to the show. It is my honor and pleasure. He's all set and ready to go. Jon Provost is here on the show. Jon, welcome to the Jim Master Show, my friend.
Well, thank you, Jim. And I think I'm going to have a hard time living up to everything that you just said.
And like I said, that was just really the short list. That was the summarized version of everything. It's so great to see you again, my friend. Congratulations on everything. Say hi to our dear friend Lori, who was recently a guest on our show, talking about her incredible book about the Beatles in 1965 at Shea Stadium. For folks watching, if you saw the episode with Lori Jacobson, who's a wonderful writer and historian, everything Hollywood and more, and music, television, she knows it all. She was a recent guest only about a week ago, and that was fantastic. They are husband and wife. See, you might not have known that. So say hi to her for us as well and send her our love. So, I was talking about your career early on, well before Lassie. Of course, you're most known for Lassie, but it was really amazing how early on you were exposed to the industry at like age 2 and 3. Tell us about that, because your parents come from not Hollywood, right? They come from humble beginnings. Your father right there, and your lovely mom.
My parents, my dad was from Alabama, Mobile, Alabama, and my mom was from a little town in northeastern Texas called Wolf City, Texas. But they met in Hollywood and got married in 1940. And Mom growing up on the farm, her idol was Jane Wyman, and we were living in, actually, not even in Hollywood. We were living in Pasadena. My father was an aeronautical engineer, and my mother was a housewife. who had 3 children, and I was the youngest. So she read an ad in the LA Times that Warner Brothers was looking for a 2 to 3-year-old boy to be in this movie with Jane Wyman. So mom got it in her head that if she took me on this audition, she was going to meet Jane Wyman and get her autograph. And Jim, that was the only reason mom took me. She didn't, care about the business. She just wanted Jane Wyman's autograph. So, long story short, mom took me on the audition, and there were over 200 little boys and some little girls, 2, 3 years old. Moms had cut their hair. It was actually what they called a cattle call back in the day. And they kept sending the other kids home, but they kept telling me to stay. And towards the end of the day, this woman walks up to my mother and says, I think your son is going to get this job. And mom said, well, I could really care less about that. I want to meet Jane Wyman and get her autograph. And the lady said, well, don't worry about that, but we need to know who your agent is. And mom looked at the woman and said, well, I'm sorry, we live in Pasadena and we own a home. We don't need an agent. Mom didn't have a clue what she was talking about. She was talking about a theatrical agent. And so she said, no, no, no. We need to know who represents your son. And mom said, well, nobody. And she said, well, he needs an agent. And mom said, well, where do I find one of those? And the woman said, well, I happen to be the #1 child agent in Hollywood. My name is Lola Moore. And so on that day, I went on my first audition, got an agent, and got the job. So, and then, yes, mom did get her autograph from Jane Wyman. So that's how it all started.
Wow, that's
I mean,
amazing.
you couldn't even make that up, I don't think.
You couldn't make that up. And in 1953, here you are with Jane Wyman. I mean, your mother must have been in heaven.
Oh, yeah. And then, like you mentioned, the next movie was Country Girl with Bing Crosby and Grace Kelly. And the funny thing is, though, Jim, I don't remember either one of those movies. But I was not quite 3 in my first movie, and 3 in the
Right.
second. And who really remembers what they did when they were 3 years old? But the following movies, I do remember. Like um, the All Mine to Give was the third movie,
Right.
and then just on and on and on. And then you mentioned earlier Escapade in Japan. You showed a
Yes.
lobby card from that. Well, that was when I was under contract for RKO. This was 1956. We spent 3.5 months in Japan filming this movie, and it was one of the first movies filmed in Japan after the war. I mean, it was really only like 11 years after the war had ended, so um, nobody knew how it was going to go, but it turned out to be a really great movie, and yeah, it still holds up today, and it was also RKO's last movie before Howard Hughes sold the studio to Desi and Lucy.
That's right, exactly. And that, of course, you have this wonderful connection to Desi Lou. You are one of the Desi Lou kids, as they
Oh
describe
yeah,
it, which is really, really cool. You also were in Back from Eternity with, there's Anita Engbert. What a great show.
Anita. Oh boy. Okay, I got to
Wow.
tell you about this one. This was
Do
my
you know, if you notice, there's a theme here. You ended up in everybody's arms. They just scooped you right up, John.
well. Mostly it was Anita Ekberg, and after about the first couple of days on the set, a couple of the crew members would come up to me and say, "Hey, kid, I'll give you $5 to trade places with you," because I was always in her arm. But I didn't have a clue what they were talking about. She was just a nice lady, But I figured that out later on.
But when you, like some of the earlier movies you had mentioned, well, I really didn't necessarily remember them because I was just a child. But
Right.
when you look back and you reflect on it and realize the epic nature of these films and what they've meant to people, and the people you had an opportunity early on to commiserate with, to act with, to
Oh,
perform with. It's pretty extraordinary, isn't it?
it was. It was. I was lucky. I was blessed. You know, it just kind of fell into it, and for me, I basically grew up on a soundstage, starting so young. So it was to me, it was just all normal. It was like, okay, for instance, when we were filming Lassie, I started when I was 7, and I'd get up, mom and I'd get up, we'd go to the studio, my brother and sister would go to school, and my father would go to work. I mean, and that's just the way it was. So it was my routine.
How did that opportunity come to be a part of such an iconic series as Lassie? I know, there were various people that were a part of the series and some left, and there was other
Mhm.
things that happened within the series, and then your opportunity to hop aboard came. Tell us about that.
Sure. Well, Tommy Reddick started this series, Lassie, in 1954, and he played Jeff Miller. And Tommy was 17 after 3 years on the show, and he wanted out. He just said, I like the business, but I want off the farm. So they were looking for a younger boy to replace Tommy. And at this time, I was in Japan filming Escapade in Japan. So what happened was the producer's wife of Lassie was having lunch with the producer's wife of Escapade in Japan, and it came up that we're looking for this kid to be on our series Lassie, and they said, "Well, what are you looking for?" And she described the child they were looking for. I said, "Well, wait a minute. Sounds like we have him now, but he's in Japan filming a movie." So when I got back from Japan, and in the meantime, the producers of Lassie and the directors, they had seen my movies, so they knew I could act, and I was, cute, so that was what they wanted. And so when I came back from Japan, I met with the producers and a couple of the directors, and their main question was, how would Lassie and I get along? What kind of rapport, what kind of relationship would we have? Because for the series, Timmy and Lassie were like one. And you couldn't fake that relationship. So what they had me do was go live with Rudd Weatherwax, the owner and trainer of Lassie, for a long weekend. Rudd had a 60-acre ranch out in the San Fernando Valley, so went out there, spent the weekend. And of course, I love dogs. Always raised around animals. And at the time, before I got Lassie, we were living out in San Bernardino County. We had on some acreage. We had a horse. I had a pony. We had goats. I mean, so animals were fine with me. So spent the weekend with Lassie. Came back to the studios on that following Monday, and we walked into the producer's office, and I like to say that I got 2 paws up from Lassie, and I got the job.
So Lassie came to you, and there was already a bond that was created.
Lassie came to my rescue, as always.
Wow, that's and there was a bond that was created, and you could
Oh,
see that over the course of the series, it was genuine. Sometimes an animal and a child, or an animal and adult, they just don't bond, and you can see it. And sometimes that works with people too. They just don't bond, and you can see it's a little forced, or they're having, come over here and whistle and all. It seemed like it was so automatic between you and
it
Lassie. There
was.
was a real admiration, respect, and love for one another, huh?
It was. It was. And I did the show for 7 years, and in that time, I worked with 3 different Lassies. The one that you have up now, that his nickname was Baby, and I worked with Baby for 5 years. I worked with him from when I was 9 to 14. So he and I, we grew up together. We
Yeah.
bonded. I loved that dog, and he loved me. But if I told him to do something, he'd look at me and say, "Wait a minute, you're my friend, but you're not my trainer." And he would only take commands, from Red Weatherwax or Red's assistant trainer Sam Williamson or one of Red's sons. Um, and like I said, I worked with him for 5 years. Well, I worked with his grandfather for 1 year, which was Tommy's Lassie. And then he was old, so he was ready to retire. And then they brought in his son, because every Lassie is a direct descendant of the originals, and they're all males. But the son wasn't working out so great, so they had to bring in his son a little early, and that was Baby. And Baby turned out to be just the best, the best Lassie ever. And we always only had one Lassie at a time. It was, we did have a double if Lassie had to do swimming or run over a mountain. I mean, why wear Lassie out? So they had a double for that.
You started a trend too, because how many people, when they ended up adopting a dog or what have you, ended up calling their dog Lassie? That name
Or
was
their cat.
used, right?
And I still get it today. I mean, people come up to me all the time, and they'll say, "Oh, well, the phrase." They'll say, "Oh, what is it, girl? Is Timmy in the well or something?" Like, it goes on and on. It never ends. It's fine.
Absolutely right. Now, at one point, too, people might not remember, Cloris Leachman was actually a part of things,
Yeah.
but it wasn't something that she fell in love with, I guess, right away.
Well, if you look at Cloris Leachman and June Lockhart, and they're completely opposite. Cloris Leachman and you're showing my father there. That was John Shepard. They were the original Paul and Ruth Martin. But as you mentioned, Cloris, after about a month or so on set, she decided, I want out of this contract. I'm not going to be stuck on this farm with that little kid and that dog for 6 years baking cookies. So they, they let Cloris out of her contract. Unfortunately, they had to let John go also, John Shepard, because the producers felt that, if they just replaced the one parent and kept the other one, that it wouldn't sit well, with the public. So one weekend you saw Cloris and John as Paul and Ruth Martin. The next Sunday it was Hugh Riley and June Lockhart in those parts, and the studio didn't get one letter because people didn't really care. All they were doing was watching the kid and the dog. I mean, that's what the show was about, really.
June Lockhart was absolutely perfect.
And
June
I just have,
Lockhart is perfect in everything she did. Lost in
and
Space. I mean,
on
gee.
June, on June's last birthday, she turned on June the 25th. June turned 99 years old, and she's doing great. We have kept in touch over the years, Jim.
You have.
And
This is a
oh
wonderful
yeah, there
shot.
we are a few years back at one of the Comic Cons, as a matter of fact.
And you were also part of the celebration of the 75th anniversary of CBS together with Lassie, huh?
Oh yeah, that was a few years ago, and we had a great time with that.
She really is one of the most beloved actresses and performers of our time. That whole
Oh,
generation of the June Lockharts and the Dick Van Dykes and all of these incredible people. You've had an opportunity, again, truly blessed to work with so many extraordinary people. And the fact that you've kept, in touch, you've kept close with a June and with so many others, and even some of the other people who starred in series like your friend and ours, who was a guest on our show,
oh
Jerry
yeah,
Mathers, too, right?
great guy, great guy. Well, everybody from that era. I mean, we were all making series, and we may not work on the same lot, but we all knew each other. We'd run into each other. Here I am with Stan and the Fonz and everybody from Happy Days. This was just about a month or so ago. We had
This
a great
is
time. Yeah,
Hollywood royalty.
yeah, and it's great. It's
Yeah.
we see each other, and it's like, man, it's kind of like we all went to the same high school.
Absolutely. Stanley Livingston, Jon Provost, Henry Winkler, Anson
Oh yeah,
Williams, Donnie Most. So we've
Johnny
had
Mo. Yeah,
the only one I think in this photo who hasn't been with us is so far, and hopefully he'll join us soon, is Henry Winkler. Anson,
he's a great
Don,
guy.
you and Stan have been on the show, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So many fabulous people that you've had an opportunity, in addition to Lassie, that you've had an opportunity to be a part of or work with. Even the Christmas show with Tennessee Ernie
Tennessee Ford.
Ford.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, the Jack Benny show. I mean,
Yes.
if that was it. We were just all together. We were all working together. And I want to say something about that clip or the photo that you showed of me with Bob Hope. That took
Yes.
place. We filmed at Desi L Studios. Well, right next door was Paramount. And tell you the truth, Jim, Desi Lou's commissary wasn't the best, so sometimes we'd go next door to Paramount for lunch. And one day we're sitting there, we're having lunch, and Bob Hope was there filming one of his movies. And somebody said, "Oh, photo op." So they took me, and I was 10 years old. They took me and they put me on his lap and getting ready for a photo. And Bob Hope looks at me and he says, "Okay, kid, make me laugh." I'm a 10-year-old kid and I'm going to make Bob Hope laugh. Well, I thought about it for a minute and then I remembered that I had two false teeth because I'd lost my teeth, and for continuity, they made some false teeth that I had to wear. So I'm thinking, okay, false teeth. Well, he's never going to think that a young kid, 10 years old, has false teeth. So that's what you see on the end of my tongue is my false teeth, and I made him laugh.
That's the teeth. I thought it was a piece of like birthday cake or
Yeah,
something. That's
no,
the
no,
vanilla frosting.
yeah, that's my two front teeth.
All I want for Christmas is my two
My
front
two
teeth.
front.
And
There you
for
go.
Jon Provost, aka Timmy, it was
And
real.
it was real, and I made Bob Hope laugh. So it
could
doesn't get much better than that.
could you imagine how cool that is? There were times too when I believe your sister Fran and is it your brother Bill also
Yeah.
joined you on series?
On this, yeah. Well, you know what they would do is like if we were having a school scene, in the school on Lassie, or if we went to church, or if we went to town for a carnival or something, to fill in for the other kids, they would just hire the children that from like some of the crew members' kids
Right.
to fill in those parts. So my brother and sister did that a couple times. As a matter of fact, my brother didn't care for it. My sister liked it a little bit, and you might remember the first Gidget movie that
Oh,
starred
sure.
Sally Field.
Yeah.
Well, my sister was the runner-up. She lost that part to Sally Field, and after that, my friend said, I don't like the rejection. And so she said, adios, Hollywood. But for me, it was fine. I didn't care.
Right, exactly. Got some more wonderful photos here. Now, this
Oh,
is
that's
this
my
your
mom.
mom fixing
Yep,
your
that's
hair? She
mom.
was on set and would fix the hair.
Mom was on set with me 99% of the time, and when she wasn't, maybe 90%. When she wasn't, she had a little old lady, and I'll never forget Mrs. Olson, and she would care after me. But of course, we had a social worker on set and a school teacher, so I was well cared for.
Did your mom ever get on television or in film? Did she ever get in any of these things?
She she didn't want to.
Wasn't her thing, yeah.
All she wanted was Jane Wyman's autograph.
And not only did she get that, but her son starred in a
A lot
movie
more.
with.
Oh yeah, a lot more.
Wow, that is so amazing. Here's another great shot. And now we have Halloween is approaching, so we wanted to dig this out because there you are
All dressed up.
getting ready for it, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
I tell you.
it
Did
was.
you,
Oh, and you know something,
yeah,
Jim? Just an ordinary day in my life filming Lassie. Now, back then, we did between mm, 35 and 37 half-hour episodes. So in my
yeah,
7 years, I did 249 half-hour episodes. We
unbelievable.
worked 9 months out of the year filming. I worked 5 days a week, 10 hours a day. And then on the 3 months that we were on hiatus, 1 month was spent, Lassie and I, traveling around the country, hitting all the major markets, Dallas, New York, Chicago, wherever, promoting the series. But here is something that was just really incredible about Red Weatherwax, the owner of Lassie. He would insist that if there was a children's hospital in one of these cities that we were visiting, that Lassie and I go and visit the children. Now, this was, you know, the late 50s, early 60s. There was no such thing as a service dog. There were guide dogs for the blind. They didn't let dogs into hospitals, and they didn't let kids into hospitals unless you were sick. So here I am, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, going to these children's hospitals, seeing kids my age that had polio or had been injured in an auto accident or burnt in a house fire. And when Timmy and Lassie would walk into their room, they would just go to a different place. They would forget the pain. They would just it would alleviate them of their problems. And it I just saw the joy that it brought them because they watched us, every Sunday on TV, but now we're there, we're real. And it had a lasting impression on me as far as my involvement with service animals my entire life, working for no-kill pet shelters and uh, you know working to get laws changed for animals.
Canine for
And
Independence. You were on the
oh
board
yeah,
too, right?
on the board of Canine Companions for Independence for 25 years. To supply service dogs to people that have disabilities other than blindness free of charge.
Hmm.
So it's just, and you know what? I have to, this all goes back to my time with Lassie and Rudd because he was a great guy, the way he treated his animals. I saw, other trainers. We had every kind of animal you can think of on
Oh
Lassie,
yeah.
from alligators to zebras. Seriously, really, and all kinds of dogs and cats and you name it. And I saw all these other trainers, and boy, Rudd just stood out, and it was his respect. He respected the animals, and that's one thing I really learned from him. And it's it's been a super big part of my life.
What are some of the lessons, these shows of that time period, which have been beloved ever since they've been on the air, and they're still on the air? All of these shows we talk about and we celebrate. And I think there's a craving for nostalgia. There's a craving for the simple innocence that these shows present and the warmth and love that they present, kindness, empathy, getting along, solving problems, getting through life, and coming out of it hopefully hopeful and happy if you can be. For you, what are some of the lessons you think in reflection you learned while you were on a show like Lassie? I mean, you were doing the work and you were having fun, but there are a lot of lessons that were learned, obviously, that
Oh,
you've taken with you throughout your life.
well, yeah, I think the main thing, and you hit on it. It's the shows of that era of early television. Um, the writers, the producers, they cared about the product that they were delivering, and that product contained morality. Timmy learned from his mistakes. He made mistakes, but he learned from them. I mean, on Lassie, we touched on animal rights, we touched on pollution, we did. lot of things that were groundbreaking, really, at the time when you think about it. But I think that's why those shows hold up, because there's a lesson to be learned. And it's not just Lassie, it's My Three Sons, it's Leave It to Beaver, it's Andy Griffith. Come
Mm.
on. It's all of those shows. And we all shared that. Unfortunately, now, I can turn on the TV and watch a popular show, and I'm going, yeah, in 10 years, yeah, will anybody remember? You mentioned before, Lassie, Leave It to Beaver, all these shows, they're still on. Lassie is on in over 60 countries, black and white reruns. I get mail from all over my website, and here in the United States, it's on a dozen different cable networks. I just found out that Samsung has a, 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 a network, and they have one whole channel that's nothing but Lassie,
Yes,
24.
we get that on our smart. It's on the smart TV. If you get a
Okay,
Samsung
there you
smart
go.
TV, there's a Lassie channel, I think an All in the Family channel, a Price is Right channel, where the entire channel is all the episodes of whatever the series is, and
Wow.
Lassie is one of them. How cool is that, huh?
That's insane. And we didn't have a clue that people would still be watching. Who would have known?
I tell you, it's really, what is some of the feedback you get from people? I know, like I said when I was welcoming you to the show, Jon, you're very good. And a lot of the folks we've been talking about, Jerry Mathers, Stanley Livingston, all so good at realizing the impact these shows, these series have had on people at large. And you've embraced Timmy even to this day and the show in a beautiful way. You've had opportunities to go to, Comic Cons and all these different things, greet fans, sign autographs, take photos. That's something that's not everybody does that. And I think
Yeah,
that's a testament to the character of people like yourself who truly care about the product, respect and honor the product, and wave the flag for the product. But you also realize what it means to the people who've watched all these years, the
sure.
emotional connection to you, to Lassie, to June Lockhart, to everybody.
Well, and over, okay, no one has ever come up to me and said they hated Lassie. Okay, let's start there. Secondly, the impact it's had, you would not believe the number of people that have come up to me and said, I became a collie breeder because of Lassie. I became a veterinarian because of Lassie. I became, this because of Lassie. And, I mean, I thank them, and, and thank you for telling me that. I mean, it's insane that it's everything is always positive, and the best part is, like, every year they have the Collie National, and people come from all over the world with their collies. And the first time I attended one was with Red Weatherwax and Lassie, and now whenever I do, now that Red's not here, I when I go there, I'm kind of like the Pope of collies. It's kind of crazy, but oh yeah, it's just I could have done a lot of things, I guess, but I'm very proud of my association with Lassie.
I love that. The Pope of Collies. There he is. We have the Pope of Collies on our show as well, folks. How cool is that? You were also not only hanging out with, the canines, but also the horses, Mr. Ed, too, on an episode.
Smartest horse, and I got to tell you something about that. Alan Young, great man, really, really great man. And he loved Ed as much as I loved my last. And I don't think a lot of people know this, but every day before they went to the studio, Alan would go to where Ed lived in the valley, in the San Fernando Valley, and they would go for a little ride together, and then they would go to work. So they'd start off the day as friends, buddies, the same thing. When I'd show up on set in the morning, Lassie would already be there. And the first thing I would do would make a beeline over to my dog, give him a big old hug, and then I'd go to the makeup.
Wow. Horses are incredible too. They can sense, well, all animals can sense when you are under the weather, when you're not feeling well. It's amazing when you see the videos when there's an earthquake about to happen or something, how a dog will do all kinds of, and cats too, running around in the house before it
Animals,
happens.
they're in touch.
I just interviewed actually on the radio today, some of my professional work on a news show I do in New York, an animal communicator out of California, actually. And she, oh my God, it's really incredible how they can really deeply communicate with animals in ways that are extraordinary and bring things out that are amazing. Have you ever had a chance to do any of that or talk to people that are in that realm?
Yes, and you need to talk to Lori about this. As a matter of fact, a few years ago, she was working with a couple animal communicators, and one of them actually worked. Lori, we went and worked with a horse, and the horse was having some problems, and the owners didn't know what it was, and this communicator got in with the horse and figured out what the problem was, and once it all came out, everything was fine. But who would have known? I mean, um, but yeah, I mean, we are in touch, with the animals, and that's what I mentioned earlier about working for animal rights. There have in one state we worked in, people considered a dog chained up outside with no shelter was fine because it's just a dog. Well, no, that's not fine. There's more going on there. So yeah, it's the relationship between humans and their domesticated animals goes way back. So there's a lot going on there.
It really is. It's a very, very fascinating subject. And if anybody gets a chance to dig into it, you'd be amazed by the work that they actually do and what they're able to accomplish with it as well. Got some other wonderful photos here. Look at that.
Oh, that's Andy Clyde. Andy Clyde played Mr. Cully on the show, and Andy goes way back. He was a Keystone Cop in
That's
the
right.
silence. Oh yeah, and the thing about Andy, he made me laugh all the time. I loved that man. He was really old, and he was great. And I just loved it whenever he was in an episode. I'd go, "Oh boy, Andy's coming
Yeah,
back."
because he was like,
Mr. Cullen.
he really took the part and ran with it, and it was realistic. And somebody else, I mean, look at that, Roy Campanella. Wow.
Yes, Roy Campanella. I mean, come on. Yeah, he did an episode of Lassie. You know something? Um, this is an incredible story. Um, the script came up for Roy Campanella to be on the show, and it went before the suits. And they said, no, 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 we cannot have a black man on Lassie. Well, we had had Asians, we had had Hispanics, but never a black man. And it was Camel Soup because Camel Soup is our sponsor, our only sponsor for 7 years. And they said no. And the reason they said no was because they felt it would hurt their soup sales. So the producers held on to their guns, and finally Camel Soup said, "Okay, you can do this one episode with Roy Campanella." Well, guess what, Jim? After that episode aired, Camel soup sales went up. So that just shows you, and it's just how things change.
That's what you call soupy sales.
And I loved him, by the way.
Oh,
Loved
he
him.
was fantastic.
Oh, he was a great,
Yes.
funny man.
I tried to remember why you would come into mind every once in a while whenever we would have our chicken noodle soup or tomato soup, it's because of
Family
you
good, you know?
or the
Yes, of
pork and
course.
beans.
I know. I didn't even know that we made pork and beans, but we did.
Right. I tell you, this is real Americana here on many different levels. Not only do you get to be on the can of Campbell's, but
Oh,
one of the coolest things, and myself working in television, radio, and broadcast all these years, the industry, to get to be on the cover of TV Guide is very cool as well.
oh yeah. We made three
There
covers.
were, right.
Yeah,
This is
and
just one of
that
them.
was great.
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have those? Do you have copies of those in your collection?
Actually, what they would do was when a cover came out, if you were on the cover, TV Guide would send you a laminated plaque with the cover in it.
So you
So I
had,
have the three different colors, the three different covers. Yeah, and it was
all
the
the,
same thing.
it's the
When I
same
got
thing.
my star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1994, um, not only do they is the one there in the concrete right there, but they give you one that you can bring home, and it's on the wall in the other room. But and
What
every
was
time
that
I go to
like?
LA, I go by with a little putty knife and
Yeah.
scrape the thumb off my star.
Right. I know there's that rumor that you have to take care of your own star, but the city they take care of
Yeah,
it, right?
they steam clean it once a month.
You take the gum off.
There you go.
You've won a lot of awards over the years. You've been recognized for your incredible work on television, in film, and of course your work with animals. Getting the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, what was that experience like for you, Jon? That had to be a pinch me moment.
Oh, it was. And it was kind of unique because back in the day, when they would give a star, they wouldn't just do one. They would do like four or five at a time. Nowadays, they just do one at a time. So when I got mine, Efren Zimbalist Jr. got his from 77 Sunset Strip. The Beatles got theirs the same day I got mine. So it was really great. Unfortunately, now the Beatles weren't there. Oh well. But no, that was really unique. And then the other thing is, Lassie, has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but Lassie has two stars,
Lassie.
one for one for television and one for movies.
Oh, I
Because
thought it was one
yeah,
for each paw, front paw.
oh boy, no. Because Lassie they did whoa, six, five movies before television. Did you know they actually did a Lassie radio show, like the Green Hornet and all of those back in the day?
That's
I
right.
think it only lasted maybe one season, and then they went to the television show after that. And I just found out about this radio show a few years back. I didn't even know they did a radio show.
That happened with Lucy Arnaz. She discovered the radio show that her mother did and these interviews with other celebrities years ago. And it was all, on all of these tapes. And she was going through the house there and found these boxes and, played them. And it was her mother, Lucille Ball, interviewing people on the radio, celebrities, and it was very
Wow,
casual and conversational, kind of like what we're doing, not really an interview, but a
right.
nice conversation. And then Lucy had them all sort of remastered and then made them available and aired them. You never know when you dig in those boxes, right, Jon?
Hey,
What you'll
listen,
find.
we always find stuff, and that was the thing I have to say about my mom. My mom saved every script from Lassie, which was really great for when we did our research for my book, Timmy's in the Well, because we thought Timmy had fallen in a well, but guess what? He never fell in a well. I fell off cliffs. I fell down abandoned mine shafts. I fell into rivers, into culverts, quicksand, even quicksand, which I don't even
Quicksand.
think is real. Yeah, I don't think that's real, especially on the Martin farm. Yeah, where are they going to find quicksand?
Right.
Um, so yeah, we didn't. It, thank you that my mom saved all the episodes because we read every episode. Timmy never fell in a well. We found one episode where some bad guys fell in an old abandoned well on the Martin property, and of course Timmy and Lassie saved the guy.
Yeah.
That was the hey that's what our shows were about.
That's
Lassie saving Timmy, or Timmy and Lassie saving somebody or an animal or something.
exactly right. Here's another cool shot we dug up.
Oh, there's Cloris and John Shepard again.
Wow. That's a cool shot too. So many wonderful things we've dug up
That
here.
brings back a lot of memories, my
Doesn't
friend.
it? It really,
Oh,
really
it sure
does.
does.
You know, you mentioned the Andy Griffith show. Ron Howard, I think at your birthday party,
At my
right?
birthday. Oh yeah, yeah. But like I said, we all knew each other. We all. The Ron's a couple years younger, but we were all there at the same time.
I mean, look at
And
this
it,
shot.
with
Jane North, Dennis
Jay
the
North,
Menace, and
Jeannie Russell, who played Margaret on Dennis the Menace, and oh, and a few other kids up there, Flip Mark, and um, Brian, and oh, hey, and that's another birthday party.
that is so incredible. And look at this group of now
Oh boy,
legendary people.
oh there's Tony Dow and um, Paul Peterson and Annette Fabray, is that? And there's little Tim and Jeannie Russell there again, and that looks to be like we're standing. I think that's in Beverly Hills, in front of the police department.
That is so
Amazing.
cool. You know,
I haven't
another
seen
one.
that one in a long time.
Oh, yeah, it's a great one. It's really a great one. A lot of incredible folks there with you right there front and center, and even looks like a little bit of a Lady Liberty behind you there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
paper mache.
Here is another one people may remember too. The computer wore tennis shoes with Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
You're in that as well.
Oh yeah, that was. Okay. This is a good story. Um, I When we filmed the series, Kurt's 1 year younger than me, so he
Hmm.
turned 17. I turned 18 while we were filming Computer, and it was my first Disney film, and I had a great time. And so anyway, we're having lunch, and I go, Kurt, I said I've been working 15 years. I think maybe I should take a break. And Kurt said, yeah, take a break. So that's what I did, and that's when I kind of left LA and went off to college. But what Kurt didn't tell me was that the Computer Wore Tennis Shoes was actually going to be three different films. So my character Bradley would have been in the three movies, and I would have stayed to do those because we were just having so much fun. But yeah, Kurt didn't tell me about that.
Left that part out. Um,
Yeah.
Another one that you got a chance to work with, well, a whole incredible cast, was in The Property is Condemned.
Here's the
Natalie
property.
Wood, Robert Redford, and also in that iconic group, but Charles Bronson. Now, did he intimidate you at all? Was he, a big, iconic, strong figure?
Yes. Well, Mary Badham, who played Scout in To Kill a Mockingbird, she was she played the character of Natalie Wood's younger sister, and so we were the only two kids in the movie. And yeah, it was Robert Redford, Charles Bronson, Robert Blake. It's an incredible cast. But yeah, Charles Bronson, he always played the bad guy, and he was a method actor, which meant he was always in character. So he was always the bad guy. I mean, when we were having lunch, he was the bad guy. He was always the bad guy, and he scared me and Mary Badham to death. And so we kept our distance from that guy. But everybody, I mean, and then after the movie, he turned around and he was not that character anymore, and he was the nicest guy that could be. But it was just that method acting thing where he had to stay in that role.
Yeah.
And I understand that, and there are a lot of actors that do that. I think it would be really difficult to not, just to be that character 24/7 until you were done. I don't know.
True, absolutely. Also, Lassie's Great Adventure.
That was
Yeah.
the Okay. I mentioned we did 249 half-hour episodes, only 5 in color, and that was at the very end of the 7 years. And it was a 5-parter on TV, and then it was later released as a movie, Lassie's Great Adventure.
And then back years later, I think it's around 1989, they come up with the thought of the new Lassie,
The
right?
new Lassie,
And they
yeah.
wanted you to be a part of it.
And this is another crazy thing, how things happen. I live in Northern California, up in Sonoma County, and I had heard through the grapevine that Al Burton was going to be producing a new Lassie series at Universal. So I took it upon myself to call Al's production company and got in touch with Al, and we're on the phone. He goes, "Oh, Jon Provost." He goes, "God, I didn't even know you were still around." I go, "Well, yeah, I'm still around." And he said, "But I just want to tell you right off the bat, I don't want to use anybody from the old series except the dog." I said, "Okay, that's fine." I said, "But what about behind the camera, consultant, writing, something like that?" And he said, "Oh, well, that sounds like we could make something happen." So I flew down to LA, we had lunch, and over lunch, he decided that, well, no, wait a minute. I think you could be in the new series, but you're definitely not Timmy. You're Uncle Steve. I said, okay. Anyway, so we start this series, and I'm Uncle Steve, not Timmy. And after the first season, everybody's going, "What do you mean? We know that kid's Timmy. What do you?" And so we revamped, or Al did. And so now I am Timmy grown up, but I changed my name because it was such a bad experience. Anyway, we had a lot of fun doing the show. I think the best part of it was getting to work with people that had worked with Lassie in the past. Roddy McDowell, who did the very first movie, Lassie Come Home, he did an episode, and I'd never met them. What a wonderful man. June Lockhart did a couple episodes. Tom Reddick, Jeff did an episode. Um, uh, oh, um, Beverly Washburn, who did was in a movie with Lassie, did an episode. And there was this young guy, yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio. You ever heard of that kid? Well, he got his start on the new Lassie series. Unfortunately, he was in an episode that I wasn't, so I didn't get to meet him, and I haven't yet, but maybe someday. So anyway, and so we did the show for 2 years, and like I said, it was a lot of fun, but unfortunately, it just wasn't. It didn't have the essence, the real soul of Lassie.
A real soul, right? Exactly. Sometimes it's hard to recapture what was originally done. That you try, but right, exactly the original. It's kind of like when you watch the original Twilight Zone, and then there's been so many iterations of it. Still that black and white and that time period, and just the music and the shots.
Yeah,
Really iconic stuff, right?
for sure, for sure.
Did you ever get a chance to get on all the the talk shows of the day, the Mervs, the Mike Douglases, all the different ones over the years,
No, I did some
or the game
more
shows?
local, yeah,
Game
more
shows.
local shows, not national.
Did they try to get you on the game shows too?
Yeah, well, I was on the dating game,
That's
but I
right.
lost. I lost.
And
Why? I don't know.
well, see, good things come to those who wait. You have lovely Lori now, right?
Thank
That would
you. There
never
you
have
go.
happened.
That's well, you never know. That's right.
But I'm sure the phone was ringing a lot, especially with shots like this, my friend.
Oh yeah, the 16 magazine days and Tiger Beat and all of those was a great. Hey, I grew up in that I was whatever the year was, 66. I was 16, and 68 I was 18, and that things were
Yeah.
happening in the music scene and the
Sock
Sunset
it to me,
Strip.
soap.
Oh yeah, yeah, you remember that?
Yes. There it is there. And there's a cool shot on the
Oh
motorcycles.
yeah, Yeah, Davy was a great guy, and yeah, me on my smaller motorcycle. And here's a funny one: my parents wouldn't let me get a car until I was 18, but they let me get a motorcycle when I was
Motorcycle.
16. Go figure that one, mom and dad.
That's a little right reversed. Exactly. There you
Yeah,
go. That's
really.
right. He
Oh yeah,
answers your
all the.
hush hush questions.
Oh yeah.
Do you
Oh, and some of
remember any of
those.
the hush hush questions? What they asked?
Oh Lord, no. And it's too small. I can't
Well,
read it.
if anybody's watching from back then who didn't get the hush hush question answered, feel free in comments to.
There you go.
That
Good.
is funny. Look at that shot too.
Yeah, me and Kurt.
That's really
And
a
that was
great
a
one.
lot of fun. We had a lot of fun filming.
What was it like working with June Lockhart? I know we've mentioned her again, another just a beloved icon, still
Yeah,
at the time of this broadcast, still fortunately with us. She just seems like somebody that, I think of like a Julie Andrews, a Carol Burnett, some of these people that are so warm and real. There's
mhm,
no ego about them. They're approachable. They're kind. They're funny. They're witty. There's an elegance or a class that a polish that's there, but yet a warmth. Um, how would you describe her?
June was great. I mean, she grew up in the business like I did. Both her parents were actors. One of our favorite movies every Christmas is A Christmas Carol, and that was
Oh yeah.
June's debut. She was, I believe, 12 years old in that. And I followed June her career, and she's been a great lady. And like I said, we have kept in touch over the years. Um, we are the only cast members of our series that are still around, and June's amazing. June is absolutely amazing. And back in the day, I remember um, they they had a swimming pool and we didn't, and so sometimes we go and go in her swimming pool. And she had two daughters, June and Annie, and yeah, we all grew up together.
You
June
were
was she was my surrogate mom.
She was like the
She really
surrogate
was.
mother, right? Oh, you felt that when you watched the series. And if
Oh,
there's
right.
anybody watching this now who has not, maybe of a younger generation has never checked out Lassie or any of these things we're talking about, search them out. You will be so glad you did. Something else recent, around 2013, you had an opportunity. It's another film you had a piece in, and that was Susie's Hope.
Susie did. That had to do with uh, a horrible incident that happened to Susie, the dog, and this person. Well, I don't need to get into what he did
Yeah,
to this dog, but there were no laws against what he did,
yeah.
and I was instrumental in going to the state and working with people and getting laws changed. That if somebody does abuse an animal like this, they will pay for it. And there was a movie made about it called Susie's Hope, which I'm sure people can find online, or I'm sure it's on YouTube.
It is absolutely. There's something else too that I think is really, really wonderful. First of all, I mentioned too that your lovely wife and partner is Laurie Jacobson, a beloved historian, writer, aficionado of everything Hollywood and television and film. And she's just a wonderful person. We had such a wonderful conversation on the show. If anybody missed it, see that episode. We were talking about the Beatles and Shea Stadium 1965. She's going to be back because she's written other incredible books that have piqued my interest and that of our viewers as well. There's some wonderful shots of Jon and Laurie there. You guys formed a company. Now, we had Burt Ward on our show, and of course, he talked about,
Ah,
yeah, he's been
sure.
with us. He's been with us several times, and he's talked about his love for animal. And of course, Burt Ward was Robin and Batman. He talked about his love for animals as well, just like you and Laurie have. And Provost Pets has created something revolutionary and something very special that is very beneficial to dogs and to pets. Tell us about that.
Yeah, to dogs and cats. Um, we we've started a new company called ProvostPets.com, and our first product is called Spray Mix and Go. Now, let me just back up a second. We Our last three dogs have been senior dogs that we've rescued. Everybody wants the little guys, but people pass up the older guys. The dog that we have now, he's 13 years old. We've had him for 1 year. He has no teeth. He's deaf. Love him more than anything. And he's our third senior rescue. One thing we've found out with rescues, whether they're senior or not, they'll have a lot of anxiety, a lot of separation anxiety, that kind
Hmm.
of thing.
Is that
And
Teddy?
so, pardon?
Is that Teddy?
No, our dog now is Buddy. No,
Ah,
but so we had looked for products, and there are a lot of CBD products out there that are good for separation anxiety and nervousness. Loud noises. How do dogs know when you're taking them to the vet that they get all excited? And so there are a lot of products out there on the market, but they all had certain things that could cause side effects. They were what's called a broad spectrum or a full hemp product. And ours is not. It's a CBD product. It's a CBD isolate, which means it's strictly CBD. There's nothing else in there. Almost all the other ones have some THC in there, which is really deadly to your dog or
mm,
cat. You shouldn't be using that. So ours is just CBD isolate and vegan coconut oil, no artificial flavors or colors, nothing. It's just 100% natural. And the other thing about it is it's in a spray. It's 99% of the ones out there now are in a tincture. There's a glass bottle with an eyedropper, and it's a little difficult to deal with, especially for senior people that might be adopting a senior dog. But ours is a spray. It's in a plastic bottle. One spray is a measured dose, so there's no guessing. And we've launched the product a few months ago. We're available online now at ProvostPets.com, and we're really excited about it because we've seen what it does, and it can take a very nervous animal and just calm them right. It doesn't drug them. I mean, we've
right.
been used to going to our vet and getting drugs, the same drugs we take to calm them down. Well, this isn't a drug. You can't overdose your dog or anything like that. It can't hurt them. So, that was really important, and we're just super excited about the product, and we know it works, and that's the bottom line. And just like Burt Ward, it
Mm.
was very funny. My brother and Burt went to high school together.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah, they went. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, for his love for his gentle giants, he is into the big breeds, and he's been doing it for years and has a great formula dog food for those animals. And so we just tried to develop something else that to help your pet relax, especially like fireworks, that kind of thing. It can drive dogs crazy.
Oh,
It
yeah.
helps them to relax and just calm them down naturally.
We actually have a little video here with you and Lori, which I think you guys did a fantastic job describing it all with such passion and enthusiasm. Here it is, folks. Take a look. This is Jon and Lori talking about this revolutionary product that they created for our pets.
Hi, I'm Jon Provost. You might remember me better as Timmy from the TV series Lassie.
And I'm Lori, John's wife. And this little guy is Casper. He's 13. We just adopted him 6 months ago because we only adopt senior dogs.
And all of our rescues have exhibited some form of stress. And we found out that separation anxiety can really lead to some pretty disruptive behavior.
And some of these dogs suffer from situational anxiety, like riding in the car, visiting the vet or the groomer, exposure to loud noises and fireworks. And your dog doesn't have to be old or from a shelter to suffer with these issues.
And for years, our veterinarians have been prescribing pharmaceuticals to ease dogs in distress. But a lot of these have led to some really negative side effects. And they're really like tranquilizers that just drugged our dogs.
So not only does that not address their behavioral problems, but it robs you of quality time with your dog.
And that's why we developed Spray, Mix, and Go. I mean, we've known for years what CBDs can do for humans with anxiety, joint issues, arthritis. So we decided to explore CBD for pets.
Spray, Mix, and Go is 100% natural, non-addictive, non-toxic, and no THC. So your dog remains calmer and more relaxed while staying more responsive.
All you do is spray, mix, and go.
It couldn't be easier to help your dog stay more relaxed throughout the day. Just look how relaxed this little guy is.
And we just love the changes that we've seen in Casper. Doesn't your pet deserve Spray, Mix, and Go? You can buy it right now at provostpets.com.
That's such a beautiful thing that you and Lori are doing. And again, you've had a love for animals ever since you were a kid. I love animals too. We've always, had them, still have. It's that unconditional love, right? They just want to be fed and loved, and what they give back in spades is extraordinary.
It is, and we love our pets, and we just want their lives to be as easy for them as it can be, especially today. There's so many things going on in the world.
You're exactly right. That's why we got to watch these shows, folks, to get us away from some of the chaos of the world. I do have to mention something very, very cool that your outfit, I believe the shoes or the shirt, the checkered shirt,
Yeah,
these are in the Smithsonian next to Archie Bunker's chair.
this is correct.
Oh my
Well, I years ago got a letter from the Smithsonian wanting to know if we had something to donate. They were going to be doing an exhibit on television in America, and I call mom. I say, I don't have anything. Do you have anything? And she said, well, I have your entire outfit. So she sent it to me, and when I opened that box, it was like, oh my gosh, the deja vu feeling. And so I sent everything off to the Smithsonian. When they opened up the exhibit, they invited the family out. And when you walked in, the first thing you saw was Archie Bunker's chair. On one side was Stefan's leather jacket, and on the other side was Timmy's outfit. So couldn't be any better than that.
That is American treasure and legacy, if I've ever heard it. And next time we go to the Smithsonian, folks, I think we should do a class trip. We're going to go take a look at some of those things. That is really, really amazing. Well, you're very busy. What is a typical day like for you? Are you answering fan mail? I mean, what is it like for you now? Because you've been so plugged in and continue to be all these years with your tentacles involved in so many aspects, positive things in life.
Well, we've been, working a lot on Provost Pets and getting that up and running, and I've, a lot of things deal with because we're transporting it across states, but everything is all compliant. So working with that, doing things kind of slowed down. Well, obviously slowed down during COVID, and for a year or two after that, as far as the comic cons are what we used to call autograph shows. So those are starting to happen up again. We're going to be doing those, and events like the Kids of Desi Lou Studios. Things are happening. So there's never a dull moment. Let's put it that way.
There's never a dull moment in the Provost household for sure. And how are your kids? I know you're very proud of your kids, Ryan and Katie.
Oh yeah, no, yes, and the grandchildren. Now we have three now, a 1.5, almost a 5-year-old, and almost a 10-year-old, and we're all in the same town, so that we're blessed as far as that goes. We're close to all of our children and the grandchildren, and they keep you busy. They keep you really busy. So, like I said, there's never a dull moment around here.
Somebody watching is Diane Chuck. Hi, Jim. It's Leo. Just want to let you know that my father, Jim, has COVID, and he'd love if Jon gave a shout out. He's a huge fan. So I guess blessings to Father Jim, who has
Jim.
COVID.
Hey Jim, sorry to hear you're under the weather, but hang in there and you'll shake that thing. Lori, I got to tell you this. My wife Lori was I believe the 32nd person in Sonoma County to come down with COVID, and that was in 2007, 2020. So you'll get over it. It's not fun.
Guys, I mean, you guys set all kinds of records. The first in this, the first in that.
Yeah, that one, was
that's not one that you want to be.
No.
When you look back at everything, my friend, what are some of the blessings and joys in your life that have kept you connected and going and creative all these years for all of us, Jon?
It's just friends, and people have kept in touch with people over the years, and even though I moved away from Hollywood, I'm still close and still involved with friends and family that are in the business, and just keep busy and keep going and looking for new things to do.
Exactly.
And last year, which was actually about a year and a half ago, I got this call. It was crazy. If I was interested in being the voice of a robot in a science fiction movie. Well, Jim, I had never done a science fiction. And I said, well, okay. And then I said, but excuse me, why did you pick me? And the story was the guy when he was growing up, going to college, and he's a young man, he's in his late 30s. When he was going to college, every Friday night on Nick at Night, they would watch Lassie. And he said when he wrote the story for this script for the robot was kind of like Lassie watching over the human. And he said, and so I just thought, well, wait a minute, you've got to be the one. So I'm the voice of Spark, the robot, in the movie's called Colonials, and it's streaming. But hey, now I've been just about everything I could be, I think.
Next is AI is next.
I've never played a bad guy. Now there's a thought. I've never played a bad guy.
So producers, if you're listening,
maybe, hey, there, yeah, okay. Let's think about that.
Never say never, right?
Never say never.
Is there?
Well,
in addition,
June, I just real quick. I'm sorry.
No.
June told me this when when we were working together. I was a little precocious and would kick under the table type thing. And one day she grabbed me and set me down in a corner, and she said, "Now you listen, young man." She goes, "I'm an adult and I'm playing an adult part. We're both professionals. You're a professional. You're a child playing a child's part. But someday you'll be an adult and you'll be playing adult parts." And that was one of the best pieces of advice I think she ever gave me.
You're also an accomplished chef too, aren't you?
I'm sorry.
You're an accomplished chef as well, aren't you?
Well, I try. I would, I'm not kind of working on a cookbook, but we'll save that. We'll save that for next
which is cool, right? So people stay tuned. We'll have you back for that, and we'll make everybody hungry. We've definitely got a foodie crowd here, folks.
All
Jon,
right.
these folks are real foodies for sure. I do want to make mention just a little bit more, because I think it's something very special that I know, because our audience is very proactive. When we show them various things, they sort of dive in and they respond. You wrote the book. And what was the inspiration for your book? What was it that inspired you to write the book?
Well, mainly it was not my career. It was what my celebrity, quote, celebrity, the effect it had on a, quote, regular family that wasn't in show business.
Right.
My father was an aeronautical engineer. He was designing airplanes. That's what he liked to do. Well, in my 7 years on Lassie, he only came to the set twice in 7 years, and that would be for like a Christmas party or something. He liked what we were doing, but he wasn't a Hollywood guy. And that just made things different, and how it affected the whole family. I mean, we moved. My father moved and changed companies, aircraft companies that he worked for, to make it easier on my mom and me working, on the series Lassie. We didn't even own a television when I started the series. My mom, the second year we're starting to production, and mom goes to my dad and says, honey, we need to get a television. And he goes, well, no, why? Because our son is on a series he goes, yeah, well, we just go to Bob's house and watch it. I said, no. And so she drove to Sears and came home with a big giant box with a little TV in it. And so that's how it started. But, that's what we wanted to get across was, how it affected, and then how it affected, obviously my life was different than a regular kid growing up. I never went to public school. First time I went to public school was when I went to college, because I always had either a private tutor on the set, or I had to go to private school because I was working. And if you went to public school, you had to miss a month. Well, forget it. They'd put you back. They didn't know how to deal with it. So it was a crazy different life that I was living. And then my family, my brothers and sisters and dad, they were living a whole nother life. And it all just melted together. And, we all survived. There were bumps in the road. Yes, of course. I think everybody growing up and living our lives, we stumble. And so that was part of it. And when we were trying to find the title for the book, we couldn't think of something. And so Lori was talking to a friend of hers, and she said, well, what about Timmy's in the well? And we thought, he never did fall in the well, but he came close. So why not? And it works.
How long did it take to write the book together with you and Lori?
Ooh, 6, 7 years, something like that. It was a lot.
Did you journal through the years? How did you come up with the memories and the stories?
Oh yes, and interviews. Interviewed. Hundreds of people that people in the business and not in the business, just to see what it was like for, like I said, quote, this not Hollywood family, because it doesn't just affect your core family; it affects everything around. All the friends, my brothers and sisters' friends were affected by me. Where if it had been a regular family, they could have cared less about the younger brother.
Right.
But now, wait a minute, your younger brother's Timmy on Lassie? You're kidding. So, and then they had to live with that. So yeah, it was a different relationship, a different way of growing up for the whole family.
Absolutely. Really. And again, truly, Jon, all of these stories are epic, and the incredible mark that you've made, and others that have had opportunities to touch our lives through the art form of television and film and so much more. hats off to you and for being so generous with everybody who has really responded and continues to respond to you and to everybody else involved in such a really warm and loving way. I'm sure people over the years have poured their hearts out to you about they can tell you back the episodes verbatim, probably. Remember when you did this, and remember that, and you were there. And they can sing the theme song.
I don't remember. They
Half
remember
of what they remember, which is
249 episodes. They kind of blend together,
Yeah, absolutely right. You're a class act, my friend, and I would love to keep the door open for you to join us again at any time. Anything you're doing, anything you want to share. If you just want to, as you can see, this is conversational and easy. This isn't a 60 minutes drilling. I try to just pattern this after the Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, Regis, Carson, DeCavett style, warm and conversational and engaging. And our viewers have been commenting and welcoming and saying hello throughout and wishing you well and saying hi and thanking you for being here. And we thank all of them as well for all their great comments, and see them sprinkled in the chat section. Really, really fantastic. Great legacy, and you've touched us all, Jon, in so many different ways. Thanks so very much for spending time and being so generous with your stories and with your time with us. We value it greatly, and I've always admired you and your work. I was so excited when we were able to put this together, and thank Lori as well. And come see us again. As I always say, we'll keep the porch light on for you, and I hope you enjoyed the time with me as I have with you.
Definitely. Thank you so much, and thank you all for listening.
Absolutely right. You be well, my friend. Come see us again, and good luck with everything, and we'll chat again soon, okay?
Thank you. Peace.
Thank you, Jon. Cheers.
Bye.
The incredible Jon Provost joining us here on the Jim Masters Show live series. How special and cool was that? Glad you guys enjoyed it. Lots of comments coming in. If you didn't get a chance to comment in our comment chat room, definitely do comment on the episode underneath this particular broadcast. And if you love some of the other folks that Jon was referencing, like Jerry Mathers was a guest on our show. Of course, he played the Beaver Cleaver in Leave It to Beaver, plus a lot more. And he's still out there saying hi to fans and celebrating. He was a guest on our show. Burt Ward, who played Robin, we chatted about Burt as well, was a guest on the Jim Masters Show live series. And also, I want to sprinkle this in because this was recent. We did an epic special celebrating Peter Marshall's life, the iconic game show host and actor. And we had John Davidson with us, and we had Glenn Scarpelli from One Day at a Time, and we had Chris Corman, the son of Harvey Corman, with us. I really wanted to put together something very special. We do a lot of tribute episodes too, celebrating those who we've always admired, like Peter Marshall, like Dick Van Dyke, Cindy Williams, so many others. And we did a wonderful special with lots of celebrity guests and friends on this Peter Marshall special. If you didn't see it, check it out. It's archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Loved having Jon Provost here. He was on another episode a couple of weeks back with Stanley Livingston from My Three Sons, Tina Cole from My Three Sons, Larry Matthews from the Dick Van Dyke Show was here. These are all friends of our show. And it was terrific. And then, of course, we did another episode with little Ricky from I Love Lucy, Keith Thibodeau. Really terrific conversation. And if you enjoyed it, give this episode a like on our YouTube channel. Of course, we love when you do that. There's a little thumbs up icon there. Just click like, leave a comment for us. What is your favorite memory from Lassie or some of these other iconic movies and productions that Jon's been in over the years? Tell us maybe about your pet, your dog, your cat, your fish, your horse, your bird, whatever you have. Leave it in the comments. Interact with us. We love that. Share this episode on your social media. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Jim Masters TV. We thank you, the thousands of folks who have done that around the world. It means the world to us that you've done that. And I want to take a look at a couple quick comments here. Jon is still in the queue in our green room. He's, we feed our guests very royally here. He's having the champagne, the lobster, and the chocolate truffles right now in the green room with our staff. If only. I don't even get that, and I host and produce the show. Crystal Nolan is watching in Connecticut, and she says, thank you for sharing your memories, Jon. I wish you many more years of success in your career. Thank you to Lovity, Jim Master Show Lovity, wonderful Crystal Nolan watching in Connecticut. Kathleen Walker in New York City says, great show. Thank you, Jim. It is our pleasure. And Merlin watching in Ontario, Canada. And again, we thank everybody for your support of our show. Continue to spread the word. Merlin in Ontario says, Jon, you have now joined your wife, who was with us a couple of weeks ago, Lori, in Lovity Hall. That's what we call this here, Lovity Hall. And because I said the show has a lot of light, love, and levity, said it too fast once, and I said Lovity. And from that day forward, it was just magic. And Jane is watching in Sweden, and she says, this was a great show. Thank you, Jon, for being here tonight. And thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jane, watching in Sweden. And Merlin also adds in Canada, Jon, it's been a pleasure meeting you. Stay safe and healthy. Good luck with all of your endeavors. And say hi to Lori, Lovely Lori. Maureen's watching in Arizona, USA, and she says, this has been an absolutely fantastic conversation, and that's what we call them, conversations. Thank you so much, Jon, for being Jim's special guest this evening. God bless you and Lori for all you do for senior pets. That was really wonderful. Thank you very, very much. Kathleen Eds in New York City, thanks for being here, Jon. Thanks for sharing your life with us. Great memories. Wishing you continued success. Thank you very, very much. Sherry Larson in Kansas, USA, one of our other faithful Lovely viewers, says, thank you for sharing your amazing memories. Took me back a few years too. Blessings to all you do in the future. Need to check your spray out for my grandpup. Yes, go to provostpets.com to get that very special product that they created. Really, really cool stuff. Lots and lots and lots of comments coming in here. David Van Dusen is here. Going to check out the Kids of Desi Lou, of course, on Sunday. David, thank you very much for joining us. He's a dear, dear friend of our show. He's going to come back as well. Curly says the Lassie theme song can make you cry. Yes, it is a very deep song, a very beautiful song as well. And thanks for all these great comments. And Diane Chuck, we were happy to give that shout out to your dad who is under the weather. Austin Field watching says, another wonderful show. Thank you, Austin Field. Please subscribe for great content. Yeah, click the subscribe button there and join us here in the Jim Master Show family. And so many great comments. Annie Gill is here. Thank you very much, Annie. She's saying hello, and a lot of new folks watching. We welcome everybody here. Alessandra is here. Hello to Alessandra watching, I believe, in the Carolinas, in USA, and just so many here. Thank you very much for your great comments as well. Very, very, this is incredible. Sue Prav. Hi, everyone. My oldest brother, Jon Provost, no relation. My Provost grandparents knew Jon's parents. How uncanny is that? Crystal, thank you for watching as well. And Maureen, once again, for watching, and everybody who's been, again, commenting throughout the broadcasts. We welcome everybody new, and we welcome, of course, all of our Lovely regulars joining us here on the Jim Masters Show and being so enthusiastic about all of this. This is really, really nice. Good stuff, everybody. We appreciate all of you here. And come see us again on the Jim Masters Show. One more time, we do thank our very special friend, Jon Provost, for joining us here on the program. Really appreciate it. Check out the episodes with Jerry Mathers, Burt Ward, the celebration to Peter Marshall, and so much more. This was a wonderful episode to put together for all of you, and we thank Jon for stopping by and making us a part of his day, and all of us together, just remembering all these episodes and all the great fun. Great stories, too, about his mom, his dad, his family, and, of course, the checkered shirt and everything else that's in the Smithsonian next to the Archie Bunker chair. How cool is that? Good stuff, gang. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Jim Masters. We appreciate you being with us as well. Don't forget to love one another, take care of one another, and come see us again. We thank you so much for watching and enjoying our series. Don't forget to spread the word. Tell everybody you know about it. And if you're new to our show, we welcome you to the Jim Masters Show Live series. It's our entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. We don't just do interviews. We do good, warm, in-depth, free-flowing conversations for all of you, and we love doing it. Spread the word. Come see us again. Be well. I'm your host, Jim Masters. We're waiting for you next time. Catch us on the next one on the Jim Masters Show. This episode is archived, so if you joined us late, you can see it in its entirety right here on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Be well. Take care. Thanks for joining us. Cheers.